All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Bonanno. I am a producer and the senior official for the United Wrestling Network. I'd like to welcome you to The Push. Basically, it is a weekly segment where we highlight one of our talents from the United Wrestling Network. And this week, our talent is none other than Danny Limelight Rivera. So before we get to Danny, I'd like to introduce my co-host for this, straight from Championship Wrestling, presented by Pro Shingle in Memphis on CW30, Dustin Starr.
What's going on?
How you doing, Dustin?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Nick.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. And of course, the man of the hour, Danny Limelight Rivera. How you doing, Danny?
Hey, what's going on, Nick? What's up, Dustin? I love to hear. How you doing, brother?
You got it. Thanks. I know we were joking before, but man, that beard, if I could grow that beard, I'd be in real good shape, brother.
I gotta wear a hat because, these days my hair ain't looking as good as yours. So.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. The worst thing was going, over a month without a haircut when typically I get it cut every single week.
Yeah,
so it was like withdrawals, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a weekly haircut guy too, so I totally feel you on the. I think I waited a month and a half before I had my first haircut, and I was like, I couldn't wait any longer.
Wow.
Man.
Well, cool thing that we're all here. Sorry, real quick, Nick, that we're all here.
Sure.
One of the first times. This is one of the first times we've actually talked like face to face, really, Danny.
It is.
Just to give the viewers a little insight, we've communicated through various forms of social media. I think we've worked on the same cards together, but actually having kind of a face-to-face conversation is really cool, especially after seeing the video that was released over the weekend. I think it aired a couple of weeks back on Championship Wrestling, but the title of it was "Who is Danny Limelight?" And so that sprung this whole podcast and live stream and everything. Man, that video was absolutely incredible.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that was involved in it. Everybody at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Justin behind the camera, Mr. Marquez and even Nick, yourself as well, Nick Bonanno and Carmine, everybody that just gave me that platform to tell my story. I'm really appreciative of it. And it was something special. I was watching it back. I watched it with my daughter. I watched it with my friends and,
cool.
People talking about it. And it was awesome.
Well, I typically get to kind of preview the show a couple of days ahead of time because it goes from Nick and Evan and everybody in the office over to Memphis. And then when we review it, I kind of get an insight sometimes on some of the stuff that I might not know is going to air that week or whatever the case may be. But I remember reaching out to you on direct message immediately and saying, hey, man, this thing is cool. Have you seen it? Just to kind of give you a heads up that it was coming.
It was coming, yeah.
Yeah, and my time wrestling on Memphis television and things like that, I know that investing that time into a performer, I mean, Nick, you could speak on this. Television time is very, very valuable, whether you have 30 seconds or 2 minutes, or I think in that episode you had probably a 10 to 15 minute match and then a 2.5 minute hype video.
Yes.
Gosh, when you get that message or when you see that, like, what are you thinking? It's pretty cool.
Man, I tell you, like, when I first started wrestling for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and it was in 2015, and, they started us off with it was a 5.5 minute or 6 minute match. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was 6 minutes to go out there and show myself. And now, fast forwarding, I'm being afforded the opportunity to come out and have 2-segment matches with some of the best on the roster. And then, sometimes even added a 30-second promo before the match or after the match. I think that show I had a promo before the match, the full match, and then the video, the hype package afterwards. And it was like 20 minutes of me on the show.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like I just felt super honored, super privileged. And I was excited. I remember talking about it with my roommate and stuff like that. And it felt good. It was like all the hard work and dedication to trying to get myself to that level. And it just felt really, really good. I'm super thankful for it.
Of course. And that's like you mentioned before, it is probably about 20 minutes of TV time when we only have an hour and even less than that if you take out commercials. So to get that full, we got to see a nice full, version of Danny on that episode. So I want to say you wrestled Ice Williams that match.
It was.
Yeah. So that was already a barn burner. That was going to, we put that on the show to draw people in. And that kept everyone's attention. There was a real quick Danny promo, Ice Williams promo leading into the match. for people who, if they weren't familiar or they already knew that, or they could, they got a bite of who you guys were. Yeah. So then later in the episode, when we did see you get to sit down and we got to look at the person a little bit more, everyone who I talked to about that episode, which is a lot, I usually ask a lot of people what they think. Everyone said if I wasn't a Danny Limelight fan already, but after watching that little package, I am a big fan of Danny Limelight Rivera.
Wow. Yeah. You know what? You mentioned that it was actually a promo before the match, and then a promo after the match.
Yeah, with Jamie Ivey.
Oh, that's right. The ringside. You're right. Yeah. Excuse me.
And then it was the that's insane. And thank you guys. That's insane. And I started getting like a lot of notifications from like Twitter and Instagram, and people was like sharing it and commenting and saying all these things that they didn't know about me. And it was just, and I thank you too as well, Dustin, for that day allowing me to hop on the YouTube live stream and chat up with everybody that was there at the time, watching it live. It was so much fun, man.
Yeah. So each and every Saturday at noon Central Time, we air our Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingo, not only here in Memphis on the CW30 network, but then also on YouTube. And we have a live stream. And that's exactly what Danny's talking about. And also, I think you joined the live stream on your return.
I did.
Because I want to talk to you about the injury and stuff here in just a second and see what's a work, what's a shoot, what exactly happened and all that good stuff. But real quick, Nick had mentioned that he asked a lot of people about what they thought about it. And there was some wrestling fans here in Memphis that had mentioned the promo to me. Now, when we watch documentaries or any kind of sit-down promos, sometimes you're like, oh, man, they left that out, or, oh, man, they made me look this way or that way. What was your thoughts of the depiction that was presented in that 2.5-minute promo package? Was there anything that was left out or you wish was included or anything? What was your first thoughts of that?
Well, first off, anything at all being included to me was like, enough, there's so many talented people on the roster that bust their behinds, and they work their tails off. They travel towns, travel roads, and they have amazing stories themselves. But the fact that I was given the opportunity, it could have been a 30-second clip of everything, or 30-second, and that would have been more than enough, But the fact that they sat there and played the entire interview that I sat on that chair with it, and I did with the people back at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, I was like blown away. The Marine Corps did the Marine Corps did a similar video a little less than a year ago for me, and it was about 3.5 minutes long, and they put it on Headquarters Marine Corps, pushed it out to the internet, and it went like all over the place. It was very similar video that talked about me as a Marine, as a drill instructor, as a wrestler, and a father. And then almost a year later, around the same time frame, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood pushed, and the United Wrestling Network pushed that out. That it pretty much told my story after the military, that included my acting and the stunt life that that I'm diving into now, as well as my wrestling and my service, and of course being a father. And it just shows that people are taking note of what you're doing, and like the hard work does pay off over time, and like it just felt good, to be able to email the link to my mom and be like, hey, look, this was happening, because when you chase dreams like this, like some people, they laugh at it, some people think it's silly, or they're like, oh, it'll never take off, or you'll never get here or there. And then like when little things start coming, and something as big as this, that's, aired on TV, I went from it was on the internet with the military, and then now it's on TV nationwide. That people all over the country hearing my story, that to me is like awesome. It's like, it's really, I'm getting like my hair standing up talking about it right now.
Yeah. Hey man, that's 132 different markets across the United States. That's a pretty strong coverage. And I know that here in Memphis we saw it. And I have to tell you right now, your Marine Corps pictures, it looks like a movie. Like you with the hat, and you're all buttoned up, man. You look like you're coming straight out of a movie. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I whenever I put the uniform on, and especially when I wore the campaign cover, it was just something that I had to look like a poster boy Marine. Like if you went into I wanted to just be the image of, if you looked at a Marine, if you thought of a Marine, I fit that description, and not one of somebody who wasn't meeting the standard. So thank you.
Of course. You mentioned a few minutes ago the fact that you were able to send the link to your mom, or that you are able to, now that's broadcast on TV. You mentioned in the promo video that how you don't see a lot of Puerto Rican faces on television. Would you talk to us a little bit about how, I guess, how important that is to you to be a Puerto Rican face on television, especially wrestling television?
Yes, that's a great question, Nick. Like, it's true. If you think of Puerto Rican entertainers or Puerto Ricans on TV, there's only a few that immediately pop into your mind. You think of Jennifer Lopez. You think of somebody like Mark Anthony, who's an amazing singer. Other than that, off the top of my head, I can't think of many Puerto Ricans, full Puerto Ricans, that are on TV. A while back they had Primo and Epico representing the island of Puerto Rico, and even that didn't last that long. So
Right.
when you think of Puerto Ricans, there aren't many of us. You got Gino down in Arizona, who's one, and I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that's Puerto Rican, full Puerto Rican, that's representing for us. And for me, that's huge because Puerto Rico is a beautiful place. There's beautiful people there. They've had several struggles and adversities, and they overcame all of that. And to be able to be somebody from that place and be on national TV, it makes me feel like I'm an ambassador to that culture, to that country, to that nationality. And so with that kind of responsibility, that kind of weight on my shoulders, I feel like I have to be proud. I have to come out with a Puerto Rican bandana, or when I used to wear the flag, carry the flag with Gino back in the day. Like that's something that I need to do because people need to know that Puerto Rico's like, we're here. You know what I'm saying? We're talented. There's so many of us that are talented and we're gifted. We can do these things. We just need the opportunity.
Yeah, take us back a little bit further, man. With all that being said, who were some of your favorites growing up? You grew up in Brooklyn, is that right?
Yes, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
So, like, for me in Memphis, I mean, I think the territories have their own little place. Us, Lawler, Dundee, Andy Kaufman, of course. Who was it that you grew up watching and you were like, man, that's what I want to do. That's it.
Growing up, my favorite wrestler was The Rock.
Okay.
He's not from New York, He's definitely not Puerto Rican.
Who can blame you?
But it was something about the way that it just felt like when his music hit and he came out, it didn't matter what he was saying, what he was doing, the camera was on him and you was just drawn. Like he just had that presence, that aura. And I think I was so inspired by The Rock because of his transition into Hollywood, into acting, into movies and stuff like that. And that's something that I'm doing now. And I see the kind of work that he puts in. He's the highest paid actor in the world. And the man never took an acting class. But it started from pro wrestling. Somebody else that I watched growing up, I used to watch a lot of Rey Mysterio when he was on WCW, and now Eddie Guerrero. Who else did I watch? I loved, and this may be an unpopular opinion, but I love watching Randy Orton. I think he's one of the best professional wrestlers in the world.
Why would that be unpopular? I think Randy Orton is probably one of the best ever.
I think some people don't think so, but to me, I watch him and everything he does there's a reason, there's a purpose behind it. There's no wasted movement, and the man is just phenomenal in the ring. I like watching his matches as well. Some people, when he first started, he was either a Randy Orton guy or a John Cena guy. That's so it was like, and I was towards Randy Orton, but
yeah, I got you.
That I watched growing up. I watched a lot of the cruiserweights back when WCW really had a solid cruiserweight roster, talent full of cruiserweights, and when you think of like the transition to when WWE, WWF bought it all out and stuff like that, and Eddie Guerrero came, I like watching Eddie Guerrero matches and Randy Orton, and then after that it was kind of like Edge was kind of climbing the ladder after Eddie Guerrero had passed away, so I didn't really have a set favorite other than The Rock, and then my choices kind of like just jumped around between the early 2000s to mid 2000s.
Sure. That makes a ton of sense now that I hear that. Having seen your matches and worked with you in some of your matches, that it is very influenced by that, cruiserweight style. Would you speak to that a little bit? I guess, or when you decided what kind of wrestler you wanted to be, was that you looked to those wrestlers, or what do you put together to create the Danny Limelight Rivera style?
So funny stories that when I first started wrestling, the idea that I had of who Danny Limelight was like if you took The Miz and Floyd Mayweather and you put them together.
Wow.
And
that's a personality.
Yeah. I envisioned a cocky, arrogant, big mouth, but can still handle his own when needed kind of, what I'm saying? Like, that's what I envisioned. And I realized that it wasn't who I was. And I realized that like the way that I moved, the things that I could do with my body, because I trust my body way too much. I am not afraid of things and putting my body through the worst kind of, struggles or beatdown, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, you know what? I am talented enough to do X, Y, Z. Maybe I need to go back and watch the people that I watched growing up, because the reason why I was so drawn to them was because they can do these things that I know I can do or try to do almost as good as them, hopefully one day as good as them or better. And so I started going back and watching, Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero, Halloween Havoc in '97. I started watching matches like, Mysterio versus Psychosis, Mysterio and Juventud. I started watching lots of Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero matches from WCW, and even watching some of like Jeff Hardy's matches and things that he used to do with his body and how he trusted his body. I watched a lot of John Morrison matches from ECW, and then when he went to the main roster, well, ECW was the main roster, but when he transitioned from the ECW World Champ over into Monday Night Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that, and guys that moved the way I moved and did the things that I can do and trained themselves the way I train, I figured why not incorporate that into how I wrestle. That went for a while, and then I realized, you know what, I can also strike. I have a martial arts background. Why don't I start applying martial art techniques, more strikes, more submissions into my game? And now I feel like where I'm at now, it's just like a blend of being able to fly and being able to stay grounded and strike and grapple.
I can totally see that. I see that in each and every one of your matches, whether it's the Dragon Sleeper or you're doing a springboard, whatchamacallit, into a DDT, stuff that there's not even names for at this point. Right. But very, very cool. So who you mentioned a lot about training and incorporating different things. Who was your trainer?
So I trained at SoCal Pro Wrestling School. However, there was some issues with the school.
Sounds like a story.
Yeah, I was kind of pushed out. I was kind of pushed out of the school, which left me without a trainer. Fortunately enough, it was a blessing. Mr. Marquez had heard what happened, and not even a month after, I would say a week after I was pushed out of the school, I got a phone call from Mr. Marquez that said he wanted to bring me in with Gino to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. 2 months after that, we made our debut. I started wrestling on TV with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. More people started talking about me. I started wrestling Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays. I was wrestling so much, I didn't even have time to actually train. I was pretty much getting training in matches, wrestling with some of the best on the independent scene. And then it was about a year or so after that where I started training with Lil Cholo and Mariachi Loco. So I started training with them at the OCCW gym in Anaheim. It would be Friday nights, me, Mariachi, and Cholo. And there are two amazing luchadors who've been around for some time, and they helped me take my game to the next level. And after that, I stopped taking that drive to Anaheim and I moved up to LA area. I did a couple training classes with Santino Bros Wrestling Academy because Douglas James was my roommate. And so I would go train with Doug. Then I started training over in Burbank at JLFX Studios with Jim Logan. He had a ring, and I would train with, John Morrison, Damian Sandow, Jungle Boy, Jake Atlas. Who else came by a few times? Ryan Nemeth. Brody King came a couple times. So it was somewhat like some guys that are, on AEW at WWE right now, but I think somebody that really helped me a lot, John Morrison started showing me how to incorporate the parkour background into the wrestling and when to use certain things. And Damian Sandow sat with me and talked to me about psychology of the ring and what you should do, when you should do it. And I was just fortunate enough to have so many people that seen some kind of potential in me to give me information here and there. I trained with Jake Atlas for about a good 6 weeks straight, at least once a week, give or take. We were just me and him in the ring sweating it out, and he was showing me things. And I was just fortunate enough to be able to sit under the tree from all these great talent out there, man, and then just take everything they taught me and then make it my own. And then I believe it was Mondays and Tuesdays. It would be me, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy. We go to like Gymnastics Olympia and we'll parkour train and then work on our strikes and work on different kind of moves to apply into the ring. And so I'm super thankful to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus for taking their time out to come out and do that with me as well.
Excellent. I think Dustin touched on this earlier, but when you did come back recently, though, you had suffered an injury right before that. What talk to us about that a little bit? What was the story there?
Well, and real quick, my thing was man, you missed the PP3 tournament, so it was like, oh my gosh, that's a huge tournament to where you get an opportunity. I mean, I don't care what we're doing. If you get an opportunity to be the champion, you know, you want to get that at all costs. So great question bringing that up. Like was it the shoulder? Because we had heard it was the elbow, and then we found out it was the shoulder. What happened? Who did it? What's up?
So I was fortunate enough to have a good run, and I worked my ass off for the good run in the PP3 the year before. So coming into this year's PP3, you know, I had for no pun intended, I had a chip on my shoulder. You know, I felt confident coming in after having the experience from the year before. You know, I teamed up with Dan Parker the year before, so I kind of had a good understanding of how he wrestles and his mindset coming into a match like this. So when I found out that, you know, the qualifying match was against Dan Parker, you know, it was like, all right, I kind of know how he thinks and stuff like that, and I changed a lot of my game from the year before that he wasn't ready for. And so I came in there ready. I took him out and I was ready for the tournament. However, you know, I unfortunately suffered an injury to my shoulder. I separated my acromionial joint, and I'm going to show everybody.
Oh, wow.
If you see it, it's right here. It sticks out still.
Yeah.
A little lumpy. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Okay, so that's a shoot. That's a shoot.
Yeah, it was real. I remember the ambulance coming, and they were trying. The firefighter that came with the ambulance or whatever was trying to. Or the EMT, he was trying to pop it back in. He was like, and it hurt so bad as he was yanking on it, and it would not pop back in place. And after the third time, I looked at him and I was like, bro, if it's not gonna go back in, just leave it alone, because
leave it alone.
Sure, yeah.
I ended up going to the hospital in my wrestling gear. So it was probably like 10:30 p.m. or so. I'm in my wrestling gear, and the lady at the counter, she looks at me, she's like, well, isn't this eventful?
Yeah.
And I'm explaining to her what happened. They bring me into a room. They give me like a little whatever they give the people that are patients to like cover their body,
gown or whatnot. Yeah,
they gave me a little gown, and then the doctor came in, and the doctor tried to pop my shoulder back in.
Oh boy!
He did it one time, and I was like, "Look, I'm not. Let's not do this. Give me a sling or something to." He's like, "Well, you're gonna need surgery." And I was like, "Well, how long will surgery keep me out?" Oh, about 6 to 7 months. I don't have 6 to 7. You know, so I was like, if I use the sling, how long would it take me to just be able to get range of motion back? How long would it take me to be able to do the things I want to do? And he said, oh, just about to the end of March, end of April timeframe. So about 3 to 5 months just to be able to like get range of motion and like be able to lift things and stuff like that. Well, I'm radioactive or something, because I got into a car accident the next week. and me and my daughter, luckily she's okay. She was in the car with me. A Yukon truck hit the side of my car as I was driving, and I had my sling on, and it hit the driver's side. Luckily, because I always sit my daughter on the passenger side in the background car seat. He hit the driver's side. My arm slammed into the side panel of the door, and it didn't set it back in, but I heard a pop, and I took the sling off, and I was able to do this.
Oh wow!
Yes.
I was like, what? That's crazy. So, the next day I went to the gym, and I was like, let me just see if I can, lift something. I picked up like a 5-pound dumbbell, and I was able to get it up like this much. And I was like, all right, now I know what to do. I started going home and like doing like spider walks, not like spider. It's called spider walk, but I wasn't climbing walls. I was basically like itsy bitsy spidering my hand up the wall to like get slow range of motion going.
Good.
Up and down, and then side to side. And it hurt so much, but it was slowly coming back, and I was getting the range of motion. So instead of waiting 4 or 5 months, I ended up wrestling 1 month later.
Oh, wow.
What
you can't keep a good wrestler down, right?
Nah, I mean, I'm stuck with this like weird look here, but I don't trust surgeries, and I didn't want to sit out that long. have too many people counting on me to be at certain places at certain times. You know, things written in motion, things that I want to do myself. You know, I'm no longer in the military, so wrestling and acting, that's my how I pay my bills and how I pay, you know, that's my lifestyle right there. So I didn't have time to sit on the sidelines and just wait. So
also that's a tough injury too, because on your shoulder, I mean, literally, you can't even put your shirt on if you don't lift your arms a certain way.
yeah,
So like regular everyday things, like if you're right-handed and you got to brush your teeth, because I remember having a shoulder injury thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I can't do anything. How am I going to wrestle this weekend? I was trying to think like you, how am I going to wrestle with one arm?
The worst part was like putting deodorant on and having like get my arm out to get deodorant going and stuff like that, and putting shirts. I was trying to wear like cut off shirts, like shirts that I just like cut to work out in, and those were a lot easier for me to put on because the hole for the arm was a lot bigger, so it allowed me to like wiggle in a lot easier before I was able to get like that full range of motion in like the week and a half later.
So are you 100% now? And I know that the pandemic could be silver lining there to where it's kept you out of the ring and kind of let you heal up. So are you 100%?
Well, I think that I don't know if this will ever really be 100%, but I am 100% ready to be back in the ring. I've been working out at home. I've been staying in shape. I've been taking, you know, my training to a different kind of level. I consider quarantine like the rehabilitation, like the hyperbolic chamber in Dragon Ball Z, where they're just training like to the next level. That's how I feel. Throwing my body off things. I'm still going to the parks and running off trees and using everything in my environment to like get myself ready to, when we are finally saying, okay, back to the ring, I'm ready to go, and it's not gonna look like I missed a step at all.
Excellent.
I think I showed you that too when I came back. I had a tough opponent with Steven Tresario.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, no, absolutely, man. You've been killing it each and every week, and you know it's kind of a, gosh, I mean, on so many different levels in the real world, it's a shame about what's happened with the pandemic and everything. But as far as your career personally, with, and I hate to say with all the hype, but you know, having all the airtime and then having the hype video and making a big comeback from an injury and all that good stuff, and literally the match with Ice Williams was fantastic. So those that are listening or watching, if you have not seen it, you need to go to YouTube on United Wrestling Network or at CW30 Wrestling or somewhere and look up Ice Williams versus Danny Limelight Rivera. It was absolutely incredible match. But
this is good, man. That kid, he has that charisma, he has the juice, and he can go in the ring. I really had a lot of fun in that match. He definitely tested my injury for sure. He tested me to see if I really was ready to be back in the ring. And
we could see the story unfolding, that something big was going to happen there, and you were on a roll, man, picking up victories, and then all of a sudden this kind of stopped things. Is there any kind of worry or anything in your mind of what might happen when we come back, whenever we do come back?
I wouldn't say there's a worry. I think that this quarantine, it affected everybody, and I'm not the one to think selfish, like, oh, it stopped me from whatever was coming or whatever.
I know, but you know, the business we're in.
Yeah, 100%. I just feel like it's kind of gonna be like an even playing field. You know, is how I'm looking at it. It's like the chessboard has been reset. You know, everybody's, besides the champions are where the champions are at. Everybody else, it's a whole clean slate chessboard. What are you going to do now after 3 or 4 month break in between wrestling? Were you training? Were you working out? Were you staying in shape? Were you preparing your body, your mind to come back? Or were you sitting at home being lazy, not working towards the goal, or thinking that it was never going to end? That's not how I think. I think very positive, optimistic. Eventually it's going to come back. And when it comes back, I want to be able to go out, show everybody watching that I'm ready. I ain't miss a beat. Whatever momentum I was building, I'm going to do it again, and we're going to push forward, because that's what the fans deserve. That's what my daughter deserves. That's what everybody that wants to invest in Danny Limelight deserves.
One of my favorite things, guys, in all of wrestling is when somebody goes away for a while and they come back. For instance, Triple H over the years when he tours quad, and when he comes back, he's got new gear. He's got a new look. He's jacked, you know, like, so that's one of the things, as me being just a diehard to the core wrestling fan, is I can't wait to see what everybody brings back to the table. And just like you said, Danny, what have you been doing during this quarantine? Have you been getting ready to come back? Or, you know, they say if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
That's true. I've been working out intensely, man. I've been training my body. I've been training my mind. I've been training my spirit. You know, the weights, whether it's, you know, I have a bunch of weights in my house and stuff like that I've been utilizing. I have a gym with, you know, boxing equipment, heavy bags, stuff like that I can go and beat around. I have a pool in my complex, you know, to keep that there going. And I've been doing a lot of things with my mind too. I've been writing a lot. I've been thinking a lot. I've been looking for ulterior, you know, avenues of approach to take when I get back in the ring. I've been studying footage. I've been watching my old matches. I've been watching matches from people that I grew up watching. I've been watching matches from people that I wrestle now with to see, you know, what can I do to elevate my game to the next level.
How do you expect, or how are you looking forward to applying that to specifically television with United when we come back with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood or Championship Wrestling from Arizona? Since that is a skill set that maybe not a lot of people have that is unique.
For me, it's like, how do I do it? For me, it's almost second nature now. I feel like when you know, to be a TV wrestler, yes, you need to know how to wrestle in the ring. I feel like there's so much more that goes into it besides wrestling, though. You need to be able to grab a microphone and talk when presenting the opportunity to give yourself TV time to talk. Interviews are important. Promos are important. They sell tickets. They put butts in seats. They build the hype. You need to be able to do that. And you know, I'm currently in school right now for acting. And you know, all day I sit behind a computer. I'm reading scripts. I'm working on dialogue, how to present myself, how to talk properly, working on my voice and my speech, working on my etiquette on set, or, for example, my etiquette for when I stand in front of a camera. And it's all a business. And if you're not invested in yourself, if you're not taking the steps you need to get better, to learn more, to educate yourself, then you're slacking. You can't do the same thing and expect different results. I've done the same thing for a while. I change it up, and I notice as I change certain things and do things differently, I get different results. And I want the same thing to happen when I come back. I bring what they love about me, take out what they don't, and add more of what I've been working on. So it's the same Danny Limelight Rivera, just with a little bit of sazon. You know what I'm saying? Like my grandma does, all over the penny. Just a little bit more of that, so that it gives the fans more of that. This tastes good. I want more. Give it to me. And I'm ready to give it to whoever wants it.
Love it. Love it. Oh, man. That's it. So you were able to come back from this injury. You could, through this mixed blessing of a car accident. You mentioned maybe you felt radioactive, and then you were doing the spider walk to get your arms up. Clearly, you take a lot of inspiration from comic books. I don't know. What has that meant to you?
Yeah. So, growing up, you know, my dad, he would come home with comic books for me. If I did good, it was like an incentive, because I was a little troublemaker growing up. So it was like, if I ever got a good report card, or I did, you know, I did something good, my dad would come home with comic books for me. And one of my favorite comic books, was Spider-Man, obviously, the animated, the Amazing Spider-Man series. And I would be able to watch the Amazing Spider-Man TV show. And so it's just everything about Spider-Man to me. You know, he's my favorite character. You all saw it when it was the year of the spider, and all my gear was different kind of spider suits from my favorite comic books. And it's just everything that, you know, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, you know, believe in. If you look at a wrestler, you got the wrestler and then the person behind the trunks, right? And the same thing with Spider-Man. You got Spider-Man, you got Peter Parker. What's his values? What's his morals? Okay. If his morals is with great power comes great responsibility. Spider-Man's going to always make the right choice no matter what happens to him personally. If he's going to lose the girl, if he's going to not get the girl, if he's going to, you know, lose a friend, whatever the case may be, or if he's going to hurt himself, he's going to make the decision that is best for everybody else around him, for the community, for the neighborhood, for whoever. With me, I believe in those morals. Otherwise, I wouldn't have served my country for 10 years. It's bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? And who I am in the ring is me, but the thought process I put in behind, the thought process I put into who I am in the ring it's deeper than just Danny Limelight when his music hits. You know what I'm saying? It's everything that I think about, the more that I put into, okay, what's the right decision? What's the right route? What's the right avenue approach? Do I need to say this or that? Or can I change my words up? Or can I approach the situation differently? And it all comes with growth. Obviously, Peter Parker, he had his growth. Even when he wore the black suit for a while and he was making some dumb decisions, he realized eventually that, you know, his mouth was getting him into a little bit more than he could handle, and he was making stupid decisions. And he changed his ways to where he needs to go. And the same concept with me, because I've walked that thin line for too long, I think, where I like to dabble back and forth. And now I'm finally, you know, grown enough understanding the decisions that I'm making. And it's all because of, you know, yes, comic books, education, my environment, Brooklyn being the place where I was raised, and mentors, teachers, all that comes into effect into a human being. And I see it now in my daughter, the way she thinks, the decisions she makes. She's watching me. She's watching her mom. She's watching her teachers, her grandparents, her friends. All that stuff's coming in. Things she's watching on TV. What kind of heroes are she watching on TV that makes her or inspires her to want to be a hero? I had Spider-Man. You know, now she's watching, you know, whatever Disney has on there right now. She's watching Elsa. She's watching Anna, two independent princesses that don't need a man in their life to go out and save the world. Those are things that she's watching. So it's the same concept. And when she's with daddy, I sit her down. I'm like, here, watch this Spider-Man cartoon for a little bit, and then we go back to watching Disney princesses or whatever the case may be. It's all deep. And in the comic book, man, like the radioactive thing, that I believe in that. I truly believe I'm radioactive. My body goes through so much stuff, whether I'm in the ring or I was in the military training or I'm doing parkour or stunts or whatever. And then I get back up, I brush it off, and I'm ready to go. And I'm not the one to sit down and sit back and be super, I just need to let my body rest. I'm not ready. You know, I need to listen to my body. No, I need to listen to what's in here, and I listen to what's in here. If I feel like I'm good, it's a mindset. I'm good. That's it.
So basically, what you're telling us is you know all the words to all the Frozen songs.
I do. I'm pretty sure there's videos out there of me singing the songs with my daughter.
I want to talk to you about your daughter here in a second, but Blake Bulletproof Troop in the chat, it says Danny Limelight is a life superhero. You're a real life superhero, man. So I've been watching you for probably what, 13, 14 months now here in Memphis, Tennessee. And I noticed the year of the spider. I noticed the tattoo. I noticed the gear and your mannerisms in the ring. And I love it, man. I think it's super cool. And earlier when you were talking about The Rock and having the cocky attitude and all that kind of stuff, I'm thinking in my head, that doesn't sound like Danny Limelight, the Danny Limelight that we've been watching. And you said that later, that wasn't really you, but this is exactly what you portray on television to me for the last 13, 14 months that I've been watching. I think it's really cool.
Thank you so much, Dustin. Thank you.
You got to remember that Spider-Man is a New Yorker. So
yes,
he's Queens, but that's still New York City. Before I forget, little known fact, if anyone's met me in California, they might not know that I actually grew up in New York. And Danny and I actually went to the same high school, and then we lived in the same neighborhood in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I lost my accent, and he's obviously still has his. But yeah.
It's a funny story. I was kicked out of 2 high schools, and then my senior year, I ended up in Patchogue, Medford, and I graduated out of the same high school with my man Nick Bonanno here.
There you go. I would have never guessed that. 2
New York boys bred to leave New York and go do bigger things than New York.
Yeah.
For New York.
Small world.
For New York.
Yeah, a lot. And also a lot about what you've been talking about, and we've kind of tap danced it, you know, kind of all around it, is your family and your daughter. Man, your daughter. And forgive me, I don't know her name. Adorable.
Thank you.
Absolutely adorable. And so I see you on, we've gone through this whole conversation and haven't even mentioned your social media either, which is outstanding. If you don't follow at Danny Limelight, then you definitely need to, because you see your daughter on there as well.
Yes. Khaleesi Corinne Rivera. She was born on April 20th, 2014. She's 6 years old now, and that little girl, who you could take my bet, I bet whatever you want, that little girl is going to be a star.
She looks like it.
I just see.
She does.
My daughter is someone who, she brings out the best in me, man. Like, you know, when I found out her mom was pregnant, I wanted a boy. I was like, boy, come on, we need that Rivera legacy. You know, I need a little man to bring it home. When that little girl came out the womb and I cut the umbilical cord and I was there while they carried it to the little bath, and I'm like panicking. I'm watching her mom panic, and I'm like, why is she crying? How do I stop the baby from crying? Up until her mom was like, change the first diaper, and I opened the diaper and it's tar. The worst. Don't, gentlemen, if you haven't had a kid, don't ever be the one to change the first diaper. It's the worst diaper you'll ever change. But she's the best, man. She's smart, and I know everybody says their kid is smart. Oh, my kid is smart. My kid is, you know, my daughter's ahead of the curve. Since when she came out the womb, I was in the military. She was with me when I was a drone instructor. I was hard on her. I never let up. I was relentless. But then I was, you know, I was cuddly and I was holding her when I needed to hold her. But then it was back to being strong and demanding of her, because I knew that she had my bloodline. She had those radioactive genes, and I knew that she was ready for whatever I put in front of her. And this little girl's already, you know, 6 years old, already been in commercials, already been in short films. She's acting, she's auditioning for Nickelodeon and CSI and NBC and ABC shows, all these things. And she's 6 years old. She's reading full scripts on her own, memorizing it. She's working. She's doing great in school. Her teacher thinks she's above the grade level she should be at. She is amazing. And she makes me want to work harder, because if she's that smart, I know she's watching her mom, who's still serving in the Marine Corps. Her mom's a Marine Corps recruiter right now. So her mom is out there in the streets during this pandemic trying to recruit Marines to join the military. And then she's watching her dad. She's watching everything that I'm doing. And she's like, she has complete polar opposites. Even though me and her mom met in the Marine Corps, I exited stage left. I'm on to entertainment. Her mom's in the military. She's in the middle watching two people through this with her life. There's no way that she's gonna say, okay, my mom's successful, my dad's successful. I guess I'm gonna go this way, because we don't allow it.
Right.
Mom and I are on the same page with everything, and we breathe that into her every day. We breathe it into her, and I know that she's gonna take it forward and do amazing things. It's about changing the legacy. It's about changing who you are, your family bloodline. My father, I love him to death, doesn't even have a high school diploma. Here I am in college. Her mom in college, careers. She's gonna go beyond that, and that's the goal, to make sure that the family bloodline isn't doing this; it's doing this.
Right.
I love that little girl.
Oh man, the social media stuff that you guys do together and the videos. And so when you sat down, at what point did you sit down and show her the video, Who is Danny Limelight, and what was her reaction?
So she sees all my stuff. She takes her mom's phone and she like goes into like TikTok or Instagram to watch, and she clicks my name, and she watches everything that I put on there and stuff like that. But
that's cool.
I when the video aired, it was during the quarantine. It was like the first week of quarantine. She was actually with me during the first 2 weeks of quarantine. So she watched it live with me.
Oh, cool.
Like, she watched it live on TV. It was me, it was her, it was my roommate and my roommate's girlfriend. We all watched it live on TV. Cause it was like the first or second Saturday of the quarantine. And I had my daughter with me through the quarantine.
Did you blush?
No, I was excited. You know, I was hyped up, and she was watching it, and then she seen the pictures of herself in there, and like,
yeah.
You know, like, but she's used to it. Like, she's used to seeing like me and her together, you know, doing things. You know, it's not like a surprise to her. She was excited to see herself on TV, but she's so used to always seeing me and her doing things like this. And because she's the inspiration. She's the why. Everybody talks about what's your why, what's your purpose. That's who she is, and everything that I do, whether it's a failure, I let her know what I failed at, how I failed. And if it's a success, she's right there with me.
It's an indescribable feeling. We have an 11-year-old who has seen us be on TV, or, you know, hosting a game at FedEx Forum, or just insert whatever entertainment thing, very similar to what you do, and Nick, what you do. But it's really hard to get that rise out of your kids sometimes when they're so used to seeing you do it. So sometimes it's not as special as it should be, because they kind of get a little bit spoiled about how cool some of the stuff that your parents do. Are you seeing that at all, or is she a little too young for that right now?
I think she's still too young. I'm hoping, I'm like hoping it doesn't change, because we have so much fun with that stuff. And I think maybe it won't, because now that she's entering the entertainment industry and she's starting to do things like that, she's more critical of her own work. So
good.
She sees her stuff on TV or on like on YouTube or on social media and a video she did, and then she'll sit there and be like, oh, I should have did this instead, huh, Daddy? I'm like, yeah, maybe, but what you did worked for the time, you know, and as long as she's growing and learning as she grows, and that's what matters. I just hope that she doesn't beat herself up too much with that, and the joy she gets from seeing me do well, I hope that doesn't die down either. I kind of want us to always be that daddy-daughter duo, but
yeah.
Kids go through phases, so maybe when she's a teenager, she's gonna think wrestling's not cool or whatever she wants to think. But whatever, she's still my daughter. So
good. See, I think what you have with your daughter is encapsulated really well. There's one photo of the two of you with her standing with her hands on her hips, wearing your Marine hat, and that I feel like. I love that photo. It tells a great story.
Yes, she
a lot of personality.
She's that's what she is. She's a bubble of personality. When I was a drone instructor, she wanted to be a drone instructor. When I was a Marine, she wanted to be a Marine. As soon as I stopped being a Marine, now she wants to be a wrestler. Now she wants to be an actress. And her mom's like, I thought you wanted to be a Marine. And she's like, no, I want to do this instead, mommy. And it's like trying to follow in her daddy's footsteps, but hopefully she'll do better than me, you know, and she'll still pave her own way in a sense. But it makes me feel good knowing that, you know, she wants to do what I'm doing. It's like one of those questions when you have a daughter, it's like, oh, would you be proud if your daughter brought somebody home like you? Whether it's a boy or a girl. For me, it's like when I was younger, there were certain things and characteristics that I did, certain traits that I had that I would not be happy. You know, like, oh, I'd be like a little concerned. But now where I'm at in life, I'm like, yes, if my daughter brought somebody home like me, I would be happy for her, because I know what I'm doing as a man, and it's bleeding over into her. She sees it. She's with me all the time. She's looking at me and she's like, okay, my daddy's doing this. Okay. Or my daddy's holding the door. Okay. Or my dad's opening the door. Or he's carrying all the groceries. Or he's doing this. She's seeing those things, and hopefully that's what's going to bleed into her brain and what she's going to remember when she's going out looking for whatever she looks for in the future.
Does she come to watch you perform live often?
So she used to come watch me perform live. However, after one of my first injuries, I broke my radial bone in a match. She was scared, but she still came back. And then one incident, I was wrestling Andy Brown, and she was there in the crowd, and Andy Brown said something that really, really hurt her feelings. And she has
Andy Brown.
Sounds like Andy Brown.
She has not come back to a wrestling show since Andy Brown.
Wow.
Yeah, but luckily she hasn't, because, you know, I split my head open in November, and then 3 weeks after that I separated my shoulder. That's just things that I wouldn't want a 6-year-old to be around right now, because wrestling is very dangerous. And you know, last thing I need to worry about is, oh, my daughter's scared, she's crying for me, and I'm in the hospital, you know. So I think now her mom and I are on the same page, where she could watch it on TV, she could watch it with me on YouTube, but no more live events until she's a little bit older. So just to avoid the scare and the worry for her dad.
Yeah, my son went through the same thing. He was scared at first, and then he knew that I could beat everybody up, and it was all good from there.
Yeah, right, Dustin.
You know, well, Dad, why'd you lose? What do you mean I won? So speaking about winning and losing, you know, we're going to be ramping back up here any second now. I know that there was a Facebook post. I might be speaking out of turn here, but there was a Facebook post in our group that said that, hey, this is your warning. Something's coming. So I know you said you're ready, but gosh, are you just itching, chomping at the bit? What are we going to see from you when you come back? When we all come back?
I'm thinking to that tactical. I'm gonna think real tactical for you right now, Dustin. What I'm working on, what I'm preparing, what I'm planning, it's on paper, it's on board, but it's not something I'm gonna share with everybody that's watching right now. I don't need my opponents. I don't need, you know, people I'm gonna be in the ring with studying or writing down notes. I'd rather let them walk into the ring thinking whatever they're thinking about Danny Limelight Rivera, and then when they stand across from Danny Limelight Rivera, is something else coming their way.
Well, I know that there's no real way to know, and we can just speculate because that's what we do in pro wrestling. But I seem to remember that you were injured and there was some sort of sneak attack possibly. We didn't get the full story on that.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Clearwater was put into the PP3 Cup tournament. I know you probably don't have any ill will towards him, but it just seemed like when you came back, you were on the path of possibly chasing that United Television Championship, especially defeating a guy like Ice Williams and Steven Snap Tresario. You know, you're on a roll there. So is it the Heritage title? Is it the United Television title? Is there anything in particular? Is there something we need to be on the lookout for of maybe one of those sneak attacks or anything? And I'm kind of dancing on the line of, you know, storyline and reality kind of thing. So just see what you can give us here.
I think that it's very important to me as a man to find out who it was that sidelined me. I think it's very important for them to know if they're watching this. I mean, it could be you, Dustin, for all I know, right? It can be.
I guess it can be Nick. Look at his mustache.
You know,
That's ridiculous. You know how fair I am, Dustin. I was gonna say
down the middle.
That's
Right
what I
down the
tried.
middle.
That's the stripes are white and black. There is no gray area.
I love it.
I would say if I could make a suggestion to Danny, who's someone you might not have thought of, but I think would be a great title for you to go after, was I don't know if you spent much time in Championship Wrestling from Arizona, but Ray Rosas is the current Arizona State champion, and I think challenging him, I think, would be a win for the audience. And I think that'd be, if you won that title or at least pursued it, I think that'd be great a challenge and quite an accomplishment to knock off.
Here's the thing: championships, everybody wants them. I would love to be able to be the flag bearer for any championship, any brand, any company. I could sit here and say, oh, I think somebody like Ray Rosas attacked me because he wanted the fair advantage to win the cup. I could say he had his goons attack me. I can say somebody like Jordan Clearwater, who nobody would expect to get back into the tournament, attacked me. I don't know who it is. All I know is that whoever it was, all things done in dark eventually come to light. And if taking that person out points me in the direction to a championship, then I'm going to bust my ass to get there.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear, because I think everybody watching,
Joseph, whoever, you got a championship around your waist. You better be ready to defend it. I'm undefeated on my return. If you could look at the record book, Nick, ain't too many times I've been pinned in championship wrestling from Hollywood.
That's right.
That's true.
Yep.
Whoever it is, whoever is holding whatever prestigious championship around their waist, this is your notice.
Man.
All right. I don't think we could say anything to top that.
No, I don't think so either.
Danny, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Is there anything you'd like to share before signing off?
I just want to take a second to thank the fans and everybody that tuned in to this stream for watching, everybody that pushed it on social media. This is a platform for everybody in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. So hopefully this is something that we can continue to do to push everybody out there. I think this is an amazing platform. I want to thank everybody, both you, Dustin and Nick, for bringing me onto the show today to talk about that awesome video that all you guys put together. I'm super grateful, and I'm thankful for whatever opportunities are coming. And I cannot wait to get back into the ring at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. Danny, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at Danny Limelight. ProWrestlingTees.com/Danny Limelight. I'm not hard to find. You can bet on it.
And let me tell you, I personally very highly recommend following Danny Limelight. There's always something good on all of his channels, for real.
Thank you so much, Dustin.
Outstanding. Dustin, how about you? Where can we find you online? What you got going on?
Oh, man. So we got a brand new episode of Championship Wrestling presented by Pro Shingle coming up on Saturday at noon. So you guys can join us on the live chat. The show is different now than what it is that's running on the Hollywood show. So it's cool that you can watch two totally different. You get to watch two new programs every single weekend on Championship Wrestling. But follow us at CW30 Wrestling. And then I'm at Dustin Starr. It's simple on all the forms of social media. So it was a lot of fun catching up with you, Danny. I appreciate it. Thanks for the invite, Nick.
Of course. All All right. Thank you, everyone. Make sure to follow United Wrestling Network on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter at United Wrestling. On Instagram, it's at United Wrestling Network. And I am at Nicholas Bonato on Twitter and Instagram. So cheers, everyone. And shout out to everyone who networks with United. Take care.
Yeah.
I just realized there was comments here.